The first time Rebecca Thompson sabotaged my presentation in front of the entire company. I just stood there, my carefully prepared slides showing corrupted data, wondering how my team could still be taking her side. The fluorescent lights of the conference room felt harsh against my skin as I watched our CEO rush to comfort Rebecca while shooting accusatory glances in my direction. I'm Sarah Chen, and I've spent 3 years being the difficult project manager at Cloudscale Technologies. Not because I've done anything wrong. I have a computer science degree, multiple project management certifications, and a track record of successful deployments. No, my crime was simply existing in the shadow of my brother Michael's wife, Rebecca, our seemingly perfect director of sales. You incompetent little. Rebecca hissed, her French manicured finger jabbing toward my laptop. How dare you suggest I tampered with your project data? My hands trembled as I tried to access my backup files. I have the original database logs. Someone accessed them using your credentials. Sarah, stop making accusations. My team lead, Linda, snapped, placing a protective hand on Rebecca's shoulder. Why do you always have to create drama during important meetings? The familiar tightness in my chest intensified as I looked around the glass-walled conference room. My colleagues stared at their laptops, suddenly fascinated by their screens. Michael, our head of engineering, positioned himself between me and his precious wife, his disapproval evident in his rigid posture. I have proof, I said, my voice barely carrying over the hum of the HVAC system. Rebecca's laugh cut through the tension like broken glass. Show it then. Go ahead. Show everyone your proof. My fingers shook as I pulled up my terminal window, but before I could access the log files, Linda snatched my laptop away. That's enough, she shouted, closing it with a sharp snap. I won't let you disrupt another quarterly review with your paranoid accusations. Rebecca has done nothing but try to mentor you, and this is how you repay her? Mentor me? A bitter laugh escaped my throat. By corrupting my project data? By telling everyone I'm emotionally unstable? Well, you're certainly acting unstable right now, Rebecca said smoothly, adjusting her Hermes scarf as she leaned back in her ergonomic chair. Maybe you should talk to her about stress management. Michael finally spoke up, his voice carrying the weight of fraternal disappointment. Sarah, please. You're embarrassing yourself. That's when Rebecca played her masterstroke. With practiced precision, she pulled up her own presentation, displaying a series of emails supposedly from me, emails showing erratic behavior and threatening messages. Right there, in front of the entire product team. And nobody, not one person, questioned their authenticity. I need to point out, Linda said, shaking her head, that this kind of behavior is exactly why we're concerned about your stability. Rebecca's leading our biggest client launch, for God's sake. She doesn't need this kind of disruption. The announcement hit me like a system crash. Of course, she'd gotten the client launch I'd been working toward for months. Of course, she'd choose this moment to reveal it. Congratulations, I managed to say, gathering my papers with trembling hands. I'm sure you'll do a fantastic job. Sarah, wait. My father's voice crackled through my phone as he joined the video call. As Cloudscale's senior advisor, David Chen had been watching the whole meeting remotely. But even he remained painfully neutral, his concern carefully diplomatic. Let her go, I heard Rebecca say through the conference call speaker. She'll cool down eventually. She always does. I grabbed my phone and backup drive from the conference table, my heels clicking against the polished concrete floors of our open office space. As I rushed past the rows of standing desks and collaboration pods, I caught snippets of whispered conversations and saw coworkers quickly minimizing their chat windows. The familiar tension headache was building as I punched the elevator button. Through the glass walls, I could see Janet from UX asking if I was okay. She's fine, Linda's voice carried across the office floor. Just another one of her episodes. Rebecca's the one we should be worried about. I slammed the elevator button again, blinking back tears that threatened to ruin my carefully applied makeup. The same thought kept running through my mind. This time would be different. This time, I wouldn't just let the incident report get buried in HR's system. My phone buzzed with a Slack message from Michael. You need to apologize to Rebecca. She's leading the Thompson account now. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I shoved my phone into my blazer pocket and stepped into the elevator, my reflection in the mirror showing a woman I barely recognized anymore. In the lobby's security camera, I could see them all still gathered around Rebecca in the conference room, probably discussing how to handle my outburst. The anger building inside me felt different from the usual mix of hurt and resignation. For the first time, I wasn't just wounded. I was ready to fight back. As I walked through the steel and glass entrance of our downtown Seattle office, I made a decision. I wouldn't just disappear into a pile of NDAs this time. I wouldn't just accept another performance improvement plan. Rebecca wanted to paint me as unstable? Fine. I'd show her what happened when you pushed a software engineer too far. Later that afternoon, Sarah's apartment. I pulled into the parking garage of my Lake Union apartment complex and grabbed my laptop, my mind already racing through potential SQL queries. Opening my secure browser, I searched for tech industry whistleblower forums. The first result caught my eye: TechTruth.io anonymous platform for industry misconduct. Current active thread: systematic harassment at Seattle startups. The digital clock on my monitor read 6:15 p.m. I took a deep breath and clicked Create Account. For the first time that day, I felt a glimmer of hope. The forum's interface glowed with a soft blue light as I scrolled through dozens of testimonials. Each post revealed patterns of abuse and manipulation that felt hauntingly familiar. Using a VPN and a newly created email, I carefully drafted my first post. Would anyone be willing to share their experiences with Rebecca Thompson? I typed, my fingers hesitating over the keyboard. Particularly during her time at Cloudscale Technologies or Sterling Industries. My cursor blinked for what felt like eternity. Then, suddenly, responses began flooding in. Wait. Rebecca Thompson from Sterling Sales Department. A user named TechJustice2023 replied. The one who got promoted after the database incident. My heart started racing. I'm a current Cloudscale employee, I wrote back. Today, she compromised my project data and then accused me of being unstable when I tried to prove it. A private message popped up from a user called Data Phoenix. I was at Sterling when Rebecca ruined 3 careers with fabricated security breaches. I still have the original server logs. Want to compare timestamps? The same thing happened at Maxwell Corp. Another user, Code Warrior, added to the thread. She's been doing this for years. Later that evening, online meeting. 20 minutes later, I found myself in a secure video chat with Maria Rodriguez, a former Sterling Industries developer, and James Park, a tech ethics advocate who'd been tracking patterns of workplace harassment in the industry. Let me share my screen, Maria said, her voice tight with controlled anger. Look at these log files from 3 years ago. See the access patterns. The timestamped manipulations? I leaned closer to my monitor, my hands gripping my desk as I recognized the familiar signs. That's exactly what happened to my data today. Classic Rebecca, James commented, his fingers flying across his keyboard. She always follows the same pattern. Access the data through a compromised admin account, alter the timestamps, then gaslight the target into questioning their own sanity. My phone buzzed with another Slack notification. A message from Michael. Mom's having a breakdown because of you. Hope you're happy with what you've started. Maria glanced at her own screen and scowled. Let me guess. They're already trying the family guilt trip. I nodded, minimizing the Slack window. You know what's interesting? James said, sharing a new window in our chat. People like Rebecca leave digital fingerprints everywhere. Look at this pattern of GitHub commits and Jira tickets at her previous companies. What do you mean? I mean, he highlighted a series of entries. We should start mapping her digital footprint. Social media, code repositories, previous projects. When you're dealing with tech, everything leaves a trace. Maria's eyes lit up. That's literally what I do now. I work in digital forensics. Give me an hour with these logs. I don't know. I hesitated, my cursor hovering over the log files. Wouldn't analyzing company data breach our NDAs? Did she think about legal agreements when she corrupted your project data? Maria asked quietly. When she tried to destroy your career. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with a notification. Someone had tagged me in a LinkedIn post. It was Rebecca, writing about an unfortunate incident of data manipulation at today's meeting and how she was deeply concerned about the mental health of certain team members during our crucial product launch phase. Oh, hell no! Maria's voice crackled through my speakers. She's trying to control the narrative. Look at the comments. She's already got the tech community taking sides. I think I found something, James said, his voice tense with discovery. Rebecca worked at Sterling Industries in their enterprise sales division, right? I nodded, watching as he shared his screen. Well, according to their SEC filings from 3 years ago, there was a major internal investigation. Several developers reported systematic data tampering and false security breach allegations. No names were mentioned, but check out these timestamps. My hands started shaking as I cross-referenced the dates with the log files. That's exactly the same pattern she used today. Sarah, Maria leaned toward her camera, her expression intense. You're not crazy. You're not unstable. You're being systematically targeted. And we can prove it. But my team will either wake up to the truth or show their complicity, James finished. Either way, you'll be free. Just then, my laptop pinged with a new email. My heart stopped when I saw the sender, dv.archives@sterling-industries.com. Subject: Rebecca Thompson's System Access Logs 2019 to 2022. Maria's voice was steady in my headphones. Open it. With trembling fingers, I clicked the email. As I read, my eyes widened, scanning through pages of meticulously documented system logs and change histories. Well? James asked, his face serious in the video window. I looked up at my new allies, a strange calm settling over me. She didn't just corrupt my data. According to these logs, she's done this at least 7 times. 3 at Sterling, 2 at Maxwell Corp, and now twice at Cloudscale. And their former security admin kept everything. Then what are we waiting for? Maria grinned, her fingers already flying across her keyboard. Let's start building the case. James, can you help us format this into an official report? Already on it, he replied. I've got templates from previous tech harassment cases. We should probably. A new notification popped up on my screen. Michael was requesting an emergency video call. Record everything, James said quickly, helping me set up screen capture software. And remember, stay calm. They're probably trying to damage control. I accepted the call. Michael appeared on my screen, his usual pristine appearance slightly disheveled, his home office lighting casting harsh shadows on his face. What the hell are you doing, Sarah? He demanded without preamble. Rebecca's just showed me some concerning Slack threads. Can you be more specific? I asked, keeping my voice steady as Maria and James watched silently from another window. Which Slack threads exactly? Don't play dumb. Michael's voice crackled through my speakers. You've been collecting internal data logs, going through old repositories. What are you trying to prove? I think you know exactly what I'm trying to prove, I said, sharing my screen to display the Sterling Industries logs. Would you like to see what your wife did before she married you? His eyes narrowed as he scanned the timestamps. Where did you get these? The same place I got this, I said, opening another window showing Rebecca's systematic pattern of data manipulation. Her perfectly crafted digital fingerprints laid bare in lines of code. Michael's face went pale. This is corporate espionage. You could go to jail for this. Actually, James unmuted himself. This is evidence gathering of systematic workplace harassment. Very different legal framework, Mr. Chen. Who are these people? Michael demanded. Sarah, what kind of trouble are you causing now? These are my friends, I said, feeling stronger with each word. The only people who actually looked at the evidence when your wife destroyed my project data. Destroyed? Michael laughed, but there was a note of uncertainty in his voice. Now you're being dramatic. Maria shared her screen, displaying a pattern analysis of system access logs. Rebecca's digital signature was unmistakable across multiple incidents. This is your wife's greatest hits, I said. Want to see the rest? We have quite a collection. Where did you get these logs? His voice shook slightly. Turns out I'm not the first person Rebecca's tried to destroy, I said, pulling up more documentation. Just the latest in a long line of talented developers who got in her way. I'm going to be the last. Are you threatening my wife? No, I said, opening another window, showing a draft of our report to the Ethics Committee. I'm promising to expose the truth. Unless what? I took a deep breath, feeling James and Maria's silent support. Unless she publicly admits what she did to me and the others. Unless she steps down from the Thompson projects and gets help for whatever makes her need to destroy other people's careers. You're trying to blackmail us. Michael's face reddened on my screen. I'm trying to stop her before she ruins anyone else's career, I corrected, including the new developers on her team. That hit home. I saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes as he glanced at another monitor, probably reviewing the evidence himself. Think about it, Michael, Maria added softly. What happens when the junior developers start outperforming her? When they create better solutions than she can take credit for? What happens to their careers? Get out of this call, Michael said, but his voice lacked its usual authority. All of you, disconnect now. We're on my secure server, James reminded him. But you can leave whenever you want. Just remember, Sarah's not backing down this time. As Michael abruptly ended the call, my screen lit up with a new notification. Someone had shared Rebecca's LinkedIn post in TechCrunch's internal forum, sparking a heated discussion about toxic workplace culture in startups. Perfect timing, James said, a grim smile forming on his face. Ready to release the first batch of evidence? I hesitated, staring at the folder of carefully documented logs. What if this backfires? That's why we have a strategy, Maria reminded me. We start with the irrefutable data. Just enough to make people question her perfect tech executive image. My hands trembled slightly as I typed my response to Rebecca's post. Interesting how these stability concerns emerged right after I discovered these system logs. I attached a sanitized version of the access records. And now we wait, James said, monitoring the network traffic. We didn't have to wait long. Within minutes, my screen exploded with notifications. Rebecca was calling repeatedly through every possible platform: Slack, Teams, phone. My email inbox filled with urgent messages from Linda and the HR department. But among the corporate chaos, other messages started appearing. She did the exact same thing to my code repository at Sterling. I lost my senior dev position because of her security concerns. I have the original commits. Check your DMs. I have more logs from Maxwell Corp. I looked at my new allies, tears threatening to blur my vision of the chat window. I can't believe this is really happening. Believe it, Maria said, her video feed showing her fierce determination. The truth is spreading through the network, and there's nothing she can do to stop it. Just then, an urgent email arrived from Rebecca's CloudScale address. Subject line: "We need to talk. Now. Priority: highest." James' grim smile reflected in his webcam. "Let the real system test begin." "Don't open it yet," James warned as I moved my cursor toward the email. "Let it sit in the queue." We were now in Maria's digital forensics workspace, watching the situation unfold across multiple tech community platforms. The techtruth.io thread had spawned a full-blown movement. #TechAccountability was trending on Twitter. Another one from Sterling Industries, Maria announced, analyzing data on one of her screens. Their former security lead says Rebecca threatened to report a breach under his credentials if he didn't lose certain access logs. My phone buzzed again. Rebecca's third email in an hour. Subject: "You're making a career-ending mistake." "Now can I respond?" I asked, watching the notification counter climb. "Wait for it." James checked his system clock. "Your brother should be getting an alert from the ethics committee right about now." Right on cue, my screen lit up with an incoming video call request from Michael. "Put it on speaker," Maria whispered, activating her recording software. "The ethics committee?" Michael's voice was strained, his home office looking darker than before. "Really, Sarah? You escalated this to the board." "I'm following proper corporate protocols," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "How's Rebecca handling the data audit?" "She's having a meltdown. The Thompson client is threatening to pull their contract." "Is that what you want? To destroy the whole project?" "That's rich," Maria cut in. "Using $1 million contract as a shield this time." "Stay out of this," Michael snapped. "Sarah, you need to retract your evidence submission to the committee. Now. Or what? Or the company will sue you for corporate espionage." "Rebecca's already talking to legal about a cease and desist." I laughed, surprising myself. "Perfect. Let's get everything on record in an official hearing." I'm sure Sterling Industries' former security team would love to testify about their logs. Silence filled the video call. "Tell Rebecca to check her email," I said. "I'm about to respond to her messages." I hung up and opened my encrypted email client, pulling up Rebecca's increasingly desperate messages. "Keep it professional," James advised. "Stick to the data." I typed, "Dear Rebecca, I'm prepared to discuss this situation in front of the ethics committee. Feel free to bring legal. I'll bring my forensics team, along with complete documentation from your previous workplaces. Your choice. Best regards, Sarah." "Send it," Maria said, her fingers flying over her keyboard as she compiled more evidence. As soon as I hit send, a new notification popped up. Someone had shared a video in the techtruth.io thread. "Oh my God," I whispered as we watched. It was security camera footage from Sterling Industries' server room, showing Rebecca accessing a restricted terminal late at night, then reporting a security breach the next morning. "The timestamp," James pointed out. "This was 2 days before their senior developer's unauthorized access incident." "Who leaked this?" I asked, watching the crystal-clear footage again. "Anonymous," Maria said. "But the message says former security admin. Ready to testify under oath." My phone lit up with a text from my mother. "Your father's having anxiety attacks over this scandal. I hope you're satisfied destroying our family's reputation in the tech community." Before I could respond, another notification appeared. Rebecca had started a LinkedIn Live session. "Play it," I said, my throat tight. Rebecca's perfectly composed face filled my screen, her home office backdrop meticulously arranged. "I need to address the malicious accusations being spread about me," she began, her voice trembling just enough to seem vulnerable. "I'm deeply hurt that my sister-in-law, who clearly needs professional help, has chosen to attack me during our crucial client launch phase. I've only ever tried to mentor her." Is she serious?" Maria muttered, rapidly documenting everything. "And I forgive her, because that's what family does. I just pray she gets the support she needs to handle the pressures of enterprise development." "Cut the stream," I said. "I can't watch anymore." "Wait," James held up his hand. "Look at the comments." Comments were flooding in, but not the supportive ones Rebecca usually cultivated on her tech leadership posts. "Where's your explanation for the Sterling Industries server logs? I worked with you at Maxwell Corp. Should I share our Git histories too?" Playing the victim while the evidence is right there in the commit logs. Classic gaslighting in tech leadership. Rebecca abruptly ended the live stream. "She's losing control," James said. "This isn't following her usual script." My laptop pinged with a new email. Unknown sender. Subject line: Rebecca Thompson's history at Maxwell Corp. Inside was a detailed technical analysis from her former team lead, with repository logs showing a pattern of code manipulation and false security flags going back years. "This is bigger than we thought," Maria said quietly. "Forward it to Michael," James suggested. "He needs to see who he really married from a technical perspective." As I hit forward, another message came through, this time from my father. "Can we meet?" "Just us." "Secure channel." I showed the others my screen. "Go for it," Maria said. "But use our encrypted conference line and keep everything recorded." I messaged back. "Video call in 30 minutes. Sending you a secure link." His response came quickly. "I'll be there." No mom. No Rebecca. I have questions about the Sterling logs. I checked my secure chat applications, hands trembling slightly. What do I say to him? "The truth," James said simply. "Just the data. We'll stay on backup channels if you need us," Maria added, sending me a series of pre-analyzed log files. Rebecca's latest email arrived. "You have no idea what you've done to this company." I smiled grimly at my screen. For once, she was right about something. She really had no idea what legitimate security protocols could uncover. Video call, evening. My father's face appeared on my screen, looking older than I remembered. The dark circles under his eyes matched the worry lines creasing his forehead. His home office setup, once a point of pride, looked disheveled. Multiple monitors displaying various code repositories and system logs. "Your mother doesn't know I'm on this call," he said quietly, adjusting his webcam. I figured. I pulled up the Sterling Industries logs on my second monitor. "How bad is it at the company?" "Rebecca's threatening to sue for defamation. Claims it's causing her panic attacks." He paused. Michael's moved his workstation to a different floor. That was new. "They're having problems?" Dad nodded, his eyes scanning something off-screen. He found more logs. Old ones. From before they were married. His voice cracked. "She did something similar to his previous team lead. Made it look like she was stealing proprietary code. And you're just now auditing the logs?" I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. "Sarah, His video feed froze momentarily. When it stabilized, he was looking at his phone. "It's Mom." "Show me," I said. He turned his phone toward his webcam. The messages made my stomach turn. "Where are you?" "Rebecca's meeting with legal. If you're talking to Sarah, I'll never forgive you. The board might shut down the whole project because of this." "She's lying," I said flatly. "About the legal meeting. Rebecca's been active on our project management system all morning. reassigning her tasks to junior developers. Dad's eyes widened. What? I shared my screen, showing Rebecca's steady stream of Jira updates from the past hour, transferring ownership, changing access permissions, downloading project histories. The timestamps told their own story. Oh God, Dad whispered. Your mother's been. She's been telling the board about emergency legal consultations all morning. My monitor pinged with a notification. Maria had sent a link to a new post on techtruth.io. Someone had shared screenshots of Rebecca's project management activity alongside an internal memo about an urgent legal meeting. It's all falling apart, isn't it? Dad said, his voice hollow. The logs don't lie, Dad. They never did. A new video window popped up. Michael was requesting to join our call. I tracked Dad's IP address, he said as soon as he connected, his face ashen in his webcam feed. We need to talk. About what? I asked. About how Rebecca sabotaged your old team lead. Or about how she's been manipulating system logs for years. About how I'm submitting my resignation to the ethics committee. The words hung in the digital silence. What? Dad and I spoke simultaneously. Michael opened a terminal window, sharing his screen. Remember Karen, my former team lead? The one who supposedly tried to steal our codebase. He ran a series of commands, pulling up archived repository logs. Rebecca's digital fingerprints were everywhere. Timestamps, access patterns, modified commit histories, all meticulously documented in the system. Where did you get these logs? I whispered. Karen sent them to me. Said she's been keeping them encrypted for years, feeling guilty. Michael's hands were shaking visibly on his keyboard. There's more. So much more. God, I've been such a fool. Dad pushed his glasses up, squinting at the code scrolling past. Your mother. She's going to have to face reality. My laptop pinged with a notification. Rebecca had just posted on LinkedIn again, this time with a screenshot of a legal letter. Play it, Michael said. Rebecca's carefully composed face appeared in the post. I'm here to announce that I'm filing for an emergency injunction against my sister-in-law, who has launched a malicious campaign of corporate espionage against me and cloud-scale technologies. Comments were already flooding in. But your active Jira tickets show you're still working? What about the Sterling Industries server logs? The git commit histories don't lie. The post was hastily deleted. She doesn't know I'm on this call, Michael said, his voice tight. She thinks I'm in an emergency meeting with legal, backing her injunction request. What are you going to do? I asked, watching the notification count climb on my screen. I've already done it. Submitted all the evidence to the ethics committee this morning. Every log, every commit, every manipulated timestamp. Their forensics team has everything. Dad's video feed showed him receiving another call. Mom was trying to connect. Answer it, I said. Keep recording. David. Where are you? Rebecca's in emergency meetings with the board. The whole project is. No, she's not. Dad cut in, his voice stronger than I'd ever heard it. I'm looking at her system activity right now. She's been modifying project permissions for the last hour. Dead silence. Linda, I said, keeping my voice steady. The ethics committee has access to all our logs. Would you like to explain why you've been spreading false information about emergency board meetings? You're recording this call, aren't you? Mom's voice shook. Everything's logged, Mom. It always has been. 2 weeks later, ethics committee hearing. The glass-walled conference room on CloudScale's top floor was packed with executives as I walked in. Maria and James flanking me with their laptops. Local tech journalists were watching via secure video feed. This had become too big to contain. Ms. Chen, a reporter messaged in the chat. How do you respond to Rebecca Thompson's claim that she's taking a leave of absence for stress-related health issues? No comment, James replied professionally, helping me navigate through the crowded room. Inside, Michael sat at the developer's table, looking exhausted. She's trying to claim emotional distress, he said as we approached. Her lawyer says the pressure of the Thompson projects affected her judgment. Convenient timing, Maria muttered, setting up her forensics presentation. The elevator doors opened, and my parents walked in. Mom's face was drawn, her usual perfect Zoom background replaced by reality. Dad gave me a small nod. "Can we sit with you?" he asked quietly. Before I could answer, Rebecca's lawyer hurried over. "Mr. and Mrs. Chen, a word, please. Your testimony about the project deadlines and stress levels will be crucial." Mom straightened in her chair. "Actually, we're here to support Sarah." The lawyer blinked. "But Ms. Thompson said you'd vouch for the project's demanding timeline." "We've done enough covering up," Dad said, pulling up his own terminal. "Too much." The doors opened again. Rebecca walked in, wearing a conservative business suit, clutching a tablet. Her performance was perfect, except for the flash of panic in her eyes when she saw the array of monitors displaying her digital trail. "All rise," the board secretary announced as the ethics committee members entered. My phone vibrated. A message from Karen, Michael's former team lead. "Just submitted the final logs. Complete access history from 2019 to 2022. Good luck." The proceedings began with Rebecca's lawyer painting a picture of a stressed executive pushed too far by project demands. Then came the forensics team's turn. "I'd like to call our first witness." The lead investigator stood. "Sarah Chen, please walk us through these system logs." I approached the podium, my hands steady as I pulled up the evidence. Looking directly at Rebecca, I began walking through years of digital manipulation, fabricated security breaches, and calculated career sabotage. "And do you have proof that these log alterations were deliberate?" I nodded. "We have access patterns, timestamp modifications, and repository histories from 3 different companies, plus 16 other developers ready to testify to similar experiences." Rebecca's lawyer jumped up. "Objection. My client was under extreme pressure during these project cycles, which she documented only after being caught," the investigator countered. "We have evidence of premeditation spanning multiple platforms and years." Final moments of the hearing. Rebecca stood suddenly, her tablet clattering to the table. "These logs are manipulated. They're all conspiring against me." "Ms. Thompson," the committee chair warned, "control yourself, or—" "I built this project from nothing." Rebecca's voice cracked through the conference room speakers. "Every line of code, every client relationship." "About that," Michael's voice cut through as he shared his screen. "We have repository histories proving otherwise." The room erupted in murmurs as commit logs and pull requests filled the displays, showing the true authors of every feature Rebecca had claimed. "Fine," she said, her voice suddenly cold and calculated. "You want the truth? Here's the truth. Every single one of them was weak, technically inferior. I just exposed what was already there." Her lawyer tried to mute her video feed, but Rebecca continued. "You think I'm the villain?" She pointed at her screen where I sat. "Look at her. She turned my whole team against me. She destroyed my career." "No," my mother's voice rang clear through the conference call. "Your own logs did that, Rebecca." Rebecca spun in her chair. "You're taking her side. After everything I did for this company?" "You mean after everything you did to this company," Dad corrected, pulling up more technical documentation. "Order." The committee chair unmuted his microphone. "Ms. Thompson, this outburst will not help your case." 6 months later, Tech Truth Conference. "Ready?" Maria adjusted the microphone on my blazer as we prepared for the keynote speech. The conference hall was packed with tech professionals eager to hear about our newly launched Ethics in Tech initiative. In just 6 months, our whistleblower platform had grown from a simple forum thread into a full-fledged nonprofit organization. "Remember when you could barely speak up in code reviews?" James teased, checking our presentation slides. As our organization's legal advisor, he'd helped dozens of developers document and report similar cases of technical sabotage. My phone buzzed with a message from Michael. Ethics Committee just denied Rebecca's final appeal. Her certifications are permanently revoked. 5 minutes to stage, the conference coordinator called out. Mom and Dad arrived, carrying boxes of our new technical documentation guide about identifying and preventing code manipulation. They'd become unexpected allies in the cause, with Mom especially throwing herself into developing security training programs. "Look what came," Mom said, holding up her tablet. "The board approved your proposal for mandatory code review transparency." "Good," I said, meaning it. "That means no one else will have to go through what we did." "Not on our watch," Dad agreed, showing me his latest security audit tool. The conference doors opened, and Karen walked in with her new development team. She'd been promoted to CTO after the investigation revealed her original architecture designs that Rebecca had claimed as her own. "Sorry we're late," she said, setting up her laptop. The junior devs had some amazing additions to the ethics compliance module. Michael appeared behind them, carrying his own presentation materials. "And wait until you see the automated audit tools they've built." "Language in the codebase," Mom scolded playfully, but she was smiling. The conference organizer approached with James, who'd become the face of our technical ethics campaign after that first explosive repository analysis. "We'll start with the platform launch," James said, "then showcase the impact your case has had. We've got developers lined up to share their stories, including..." "Me," a familiar voice said. I turned to see Karen's former junior developer, now leading her own team. She'd gone from nearly losing her career to becoming a principal engineer, helping others protect their work and reputations. "The major tech blogs are covering this live," Maria added. "Your message about code integrity is going to reach developers worldwide." "Nervous?" James asked quietly. I looked around at my support system, my real family, both blood and chosen, united by lines of code and truth. "Not anymore."